In this video, I'll walk you through the first exercise block of the version control with Git addendum. So first exercise. The Bell2 training project contains 2 training repositories for playing with Git. Find and clone them. So we first need to find this Bell2 training project. And for that we head over to stash, which I already opened here. So stash.dc.de. And this might look different for you, but there's a projects tab on top. So you click that and make sure you're logged in, because else you're not going to see the Bell2 repositories. And then we'll just search for Bell2 training. So it pops out here and we click there and we see the repositories, and most notably there's a B2Git training space and B2Git training space 2. So I opened both of them in new tabs here and here. And when you start them, you can see that there's a couple of files and maybe a README. So let's make this window smaller and have our terminal on the right side. So we can also look at the hints now. The first one was where the project lives, and then the links for the 2 repositories. So now we need to clone them. And let's go to the first one. So you see the sidebar here with lots of symbols. You can also click here to expand the sidebar. And then there's this clone button. And note that we have this selector here. We can either select SSH or HTTP. So we're going with HTTP now, which means that you have to authenticate with your password. So I'll copy that, and then I type git clone and what we just copied. And usually, if I hadn't done this just right before this video, you'd be prompted for your password. So there would be a small password prompt here. You type in your password. You're not going to see anything on the screen, but you just type it and press enter, and this should work. So for the second one, so B2 training 2, we could do the exact same thing with HTTP, but this time we'll clone via SSH key. So for this, you already have to have gone through the SSH training. And if you did that, and you go to your SSH folder in your home directory, you should have at least one key here. So there's this idrsa.pub, which means public. And what we have to do in order to be able to use stash together with this key is to upload the public key to stash. So let's go to stash, and I'll make the browser window big again. And you click on your small icon on the top right, then view profile, manage account, and then you go to SSH keys, and you go to add key, and either you simply do what they tell you to do here. So pasting this command in your command line will directly copy the public key, or you do cat and then public key, copy everything that's printed out here, paste it in here, click add key, and you're done. So from that point on, you should be able to clone directly with this SSH key, which means you can use a perhaps easier to remember or shorter password and still be safe, or you can use this tricks where you add your SSH key to the SSH agent and only have to authenticate once per session and so on. So I really recommend that. Okay, so going back to the lesson, so let's change back to our previous directory where we cloned the 2 repositories. You can also hit ls to see that we only cloned the first one, so let's do the second one. This time with SSH. Just again, git clone. This time you notice that the URL starts with SSH. Hit enter. It clones it. And again, you might be prompted for your password. So this time, if you use SSH authentication, this would probably be the password for your SSH key, right? So the one you set when you did SSH key and something. Good. So now we have both of these cloned. So going to the exercise, you see that we did it like in a solution. We have both repositories on our local machine. And now the first objective is to make a local change in this first repository. Let's go there, commit it, and push it. So you can also hit ls. You see there's a bunch of files here, mostly from your predecessors. So you can, for example, do cat cow, and there's this beautiful cow. And now we can simply create our own file. So for example, touch git tutorial 123.txt. Can also add some text in that. I'm using Vim for that. Just some text. If you use Vim, you should know how to exit Vim. So by hitting :WQ, if you don't already know that. Okay, so we did some changes. You can hit git status. You see that there's untracked files, and it already tells you what to do. Git add something, and now you do git add file. You can do git status again. Now for me, it changes color. Not sure if that does it for you too, but you see that it's says now changes to be committed. So all we need to do is git commit. So you should set your user email and your name. So we're basically just copying what's suggested here. Add your name and your email. So this should probably be your DSC email. So it would be something like this. So please disregard the couple of lines above here. And do the same thing again, git commit. And this time we're brought to your editor of your choice. So for you, that could be Nano or Vim. You write a message, like add example file, and then you save. So depending on your editor, this works differently for you. Good. And you can see now if you do git log that we added the example file, and we can do git push. So I haven't pressed enter here. So if you go to the git training space, you still don't see your file here, and you don't see your commit here. So you see the last one is from 5 days ago. So let's do git push, and you see a bit more output. If you press on refresh, you see that we added our example file, and you'll also be able to, see your file here.